Welcome to Night Frights. I'm your host, Jon F. Merz. Tonight, part 4 of The Longest Walk. Samuel Collins is about to face down a very hungry wolf, and he's only got a knife to protect himself with. The wolf didn't hesitate and leaped right at Collins, who fell back under the assault, gasping as the full weight of the beast bore down on him, and together they crashed into the forest floor. Collins wrenched as the stench of the beast's breath hit him in the face, as the wolf snapped its jaws toward his neck. Collins ducked his head this way and that, now bringing the knife into play between them, stabbing and thrusting the blade deeper and deeper into the body of the wolf. But the beast showed no signs of slowing, and the knife didn't seem to even injure it, for it kept tearing at Collins, shredding his clothes with its claws and scoring deep gouges in his chest that drew a flood of blood that stained the air with a coppery scent. Collins was desperate now because the beast was tearing him apart. He could feel a lightness in his head as he lost more blood, and the knife seemed to be doing nothing to wound the creature that sat astride his chest. Collins looked up toward the night sky and saw the glow of the moon, and wondered if this was how it would all end, that on this cold autumn night he would lose his life to a wolf the size of a man that had hunted him down like a rabbit. The knife slipped from his grasp now, slick with blood, but whose, Collins could not tell. It might have been his or the wolf's, but whereas Collins was close to passing out, the wolf seemed to only grow stronger. Collins reached up. If this was to be his last moment alive, then he wished to hold on to something that might bring him closer to Sarah. His fingers closed about the crucifix around his neck that she had gifted him, and he squeezed it with whatever waning strength he had. The wolf reared back, opened its jaws, and brought them right down around Collins' hand and his neck, and then bit down. The pain was indescribable. Collins cried out like he had never had done before, the plaintive wail puncturing the night, forever shattering it. He could hear the wolf devouring his hand now, crunching down on the bones and tearing the sinew free. Collins could only hope that the wolf would reach his neck soon and free him from his mortality. The wolf crunched down again, and Collins felt his hand torn free. The wolf gulped, taking it down its gullet along with the crucifix that Collins had been gripping. With a bloody stump spouting blood, Collins reached up, moaning at the loss of the very last vestiges of his beloved. And then the wolf reared back, falling away from him. Its claws grasped at its throat as if it was choking on something. It fell away in obvious agony, howling and retching and tearing at itself as if it could not get free of the very thing that was poisoning it. Collins' vision blurred. He was losing too much blood. The thought came to him, and he jammed the bloody stump of his right arm into his pants, attempting to stem the gout of blood that still spurted forth. The beast was still spasming in the underbrush, jerking this way and that, until at last a bubble of white froth shot out of its mouth, and it lay back, still. Collins struggled to get to his knees. Fire. He needed fire. It was the only thing that would staunch the blood flow. With his one good hand, he managed to find the flint that he always carried, and his knife, which he jammed into the ground. He then struck the flint against it until it sent a shower of sparks into the deadfall close by. For a moment nothing happened, but then Collins, barely conscious now, saw a small flame take and start to spread. With his good hand, he swept up branches and leaves and anything else he could find, willing the blaze to grow large enough that it would suit his needs. He glanced at the wolf several times, but the beast showed no signs of moving. Was it dead? Collins couldn't hang on much longer. The flames grew, and he felt the intense heat radiating outward from it. He looked down at the bloody stump and thrust it, without thinking, into the very heart of the blaze. He screamed long then, longer and more obscene than even when the wolf had bitten down on his hand. The flames licked at the blood, searing his skin and burning it into a cinder. Colin's scream died even as he lost consciousness, falling over into the brush that was nearby, his charred stump of an arm incinerated at the wrist, still smoldering and smoking, even as he mercifully, finally, passed out. That concludes part 4 of The Longest Walk. Tune in next week for the finale. For Night Frights, I'm Jon F. Merz. Have a good night.